make it easier for providers to access into that. The aims of QQA, I've taken this straight out of the briefing note that went to the new minister, so is to look at bringing enhanced coherence and efficiency to qualifications and quality assurance and further on higher education and training, and to make sure that the linkages from the framework to progression and access policies and onwards to certification quality assurance are such that progress can be most efficiently and effectively achieved through the establishment of a strong single organisation prioritising the needs of learners and delivering quality service to providers. So that's, if that isn't a responsibility, I don't know what is. So the potential impact then for some of the providers and the people out there, and I'm conscious of looking at how it's relevant to the groups of providers represented by the Higher Education Colleges Association as well. That it will be, we expect, an executive rather than a representative board. That's a general move away from the representative boards that we've had before, and it largely falls out of the review of the Irish Public Service by the OECD and the recommendations in relation to agencies and the accountability to ministers, etc. To look at a fitness for purpose approach to quality across the whole further education, higher education sector. And again, Kevin talked about the outcomes of the higher education strategy group and looking at trying to balance system coherence with promoting and cherishing diversity in the system as well. So I don't think that a one-size-fits-all system will work. And I think that the approach to quality and to the level of authority that individual institutions should have in this has to be dynamic, has to spread over time in this. Also, the importance of the intertwined roles of the Higher Education Authority and QQAI performance and quality. Again, this was something that came out of the Higher Education Strategy, the body that funds largely the public higher education institutions, and remember, it's anticipated, and Kevin talked about it again earlier, of the role that could also take place in relation to the provision of the state assisting independent providers, or having a role for independent providers in that. And the importance of where quality fits into that, and a strong working relationship between the HEA and QQAI. This isn't something that I've great fear about, because we've worked very well through our existing bodies, and we've long experience in IAQB of working with the HEA because they fund us for half our activity. So I think that'll be very healthy, that particular relationship will work out quite well. I suppose the issues of potential significance for the independent colleges, obviously if you merge bodies and bodies cease to exist, then it's what happens to the brands of those, so the whole issue of the HETAC brand. The importance of the code of practice for international, and I put in brackets there non-EEA learners, because that's what we're calling. I think there's a real danger. I mean, we have to get involved, and we have to provide a system in place for this, and Dermot was very instrumental in the code of practice that was developed by the Irish Higher Education Quality Network, which really is has done a lot of the groundwork for this, and I believe most of what's come out of that is actually going to end up in the legislation. It's a very good example of evidence-based policy, where the group of people to whom this matters really have informed the system on it. And I hope and expect that the outcomes of that will largely be taken on in the form of the legislation that's there. But there's more than non-EEA learners, and there's also our own learners within this. And it's very hard to separate out the quality that you want to provide for these people as being any different than the quality you would want for anyone within the system. So I think the challenge there really is to look at what we mean when we talk about a quality mark within that. The other thing that we believe will continue is the kind of dual funding model for the body, whereby it will be funded by a mix of fees for the various activities that we do, and a core grant from government within that. And how that balances over time will be something we'll have to see within that. Having said that, then, I can just look back through the consultation paper that HECA submitted in June 2009 on the agency. I think HECA will be satisfied that matters that they raised will be addressed in the legislation. When I went back and looked at that, a lot of those things are largely, as I would see, going to be covered within the system. The challenge, I suppose, that we have is looking at deepening the implementation of the National Framework of Qualifications. It's all well and good to set it up and establish it, but we have, and again Kevin alluded to it, we have to ensure that we're talking about the achievement of learning outcomes, not just writing the things. It's hard enough to write them, but we need to know that people have indeed achieved the levels of skill, competence and know-how that we want within the system. To further facilitate progression for learners through the system. In particular, as well, to align the quality assurance practices on a fitness for purpose approach across the whole area of further and higher education and at all levels in the framework. And to pool resources to deliver a high quality service to learners and providers. I've just come back this morning from a meeting of the associations of chief executives of state agencies. They only get one fee from us, from all of my bodies out of this, at which our new Minister for Public Service Expenditure and Reform spoke last night, gave a very interesting speech. But one of the things that we know we're going to have to deal with from next year is that the service we provide will have to be done with 20% less staff by the end of 2014 than 2010. So we have to rationalise and make an efficient, more effective and a better system with less people. So we'll be taking on that challenge in the years to come. And I look forward to working with people here on that over time. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Padraig. I just before we break, want to take advantage of this opportunity to present to Kevin and to Padraig on all our behalf just a brief thank you for their presentations today. Despite your triple role, we've just one for you, Padraig. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.